Good morning, everyone. Is there anybody here from another Unity today? Raise your hand. Is there anybody here for the first time? Raise your hand. We have a gift for you. Okay. We have another beautiful day out there. The sun is shining. Everything is beautiful. Now all we have to do is accept it. You realize how simple spiritual truth is? Simply accept the fact that you are divine in origin and you can be divine in expression, and if you do that, all life will work to bless you. That's it. And that message is coming to you as we do a dialogue today. Syntysche and I are doing a dialogue today because of some extraordinary conditions and circumstances that took place, but that'll come out as we're discussing what it is we will be discussing. So look forward to what's coming your way.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Boulder. It's always our pleasure to spend time with you each week, whether you're joining us here in-house or you're joining us online. Thank you for spending time with us. I want to talk about a few upcoming things happening here at Unity of Boulder. Starting with today, following this service, we're going to be resuming our choir practice. If you haven't joined the choir yet but would like to, all you have to do is stick around after the service right here in this room. The practices are going to be right here on this stage. We're going to be practicing a little bit of music for our Christmas show, but we're also going to be practicing all the fun, easy songs that we're going to sing next week at our Thanksgiving service, which will take place next Sunday, not on Thanksgiving. But on that day, we will also be having a Thanksgiving potluck following the service over here in Fellowship Hall. Please bring a dish to share. We have a sign out in the lobby where you can sign up to say, I will bring this item, so we know how much of everything we need or what we already have coming. If you're interested in helping volunteer for that dinner, please, all you have to do is let Heather in the office know. Well, we always need more volunteers for that, but it's a fantastic time. You can invite anyone, even if they don't necessarily come here, and even if you don't have any food to share, still come join us following the second service next week at noon. All right, thank you.
Everyone, welcome to Unity today. This is the point in our service where it's a call to prayer. This is an opportunity for us to be conduits of Spirit's love and light for others. If you know of any family or friends that are facing challenges right now, you can write their names down on the pieces of paper that are available to you in front of you, in the pew in front of you. And Steve, who's the head of our prayer partners, will come down and collect those names, and they'll go into our prayer box, and they'll be prayed over for 30 days here at Unity of Boulder, and then sent to Silent Unity in Unity Village and prayed over for another 30 days. And it's always okay to write your own name down on that piece of paper as well. And you don't have to put their name or the issue that's going on, because we know that Spirit, God, knows what we need before we even ask. So it's really us participating in this oneness with and as God. We like to sing this song and get into the presence of this room and leave the world outside these doors. And just, they say to sing is to pray twice, so sing with us. Shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you. And so it is. Let us invite our entertainment club up, and we're going to sing Let It Be, and you can all rise and sing with us.
And anybody sitting there can come up. We could all be facing that way. It wouldn't matter if anybody's out there. You can all come and sing. I know everybody knows it. Okay. Remember, the cameras are picking this up. Chance to be on the television.
15 seconds of fame, right? Okay, here we go. And they're going to be in the production this year. So we're inviting teenagers to be a part of our production. Everybody likes to sing and be a part of it. These two are major soloists, and your kids can be too. So if you want to come to rehearsal after church today or next week, join us then, okay? I'm just using you guys as pawns in this. And let's please welcome a big Boulder welcome for Sisters of Light.
I know you're tired, I see it in your eyes. All that anxiety that fills your mind. I'll be a shield when you don't feel like you've got strength enough to fight. I'll stand by your side. don't have to hide the parts of that ache. I choose you as you are 1,000,000 times, 'cause I am not ashamed of you. I won't walk away from you. I will carry you through your darkest nights when you're terrified. I will carry you when the waters rise, when your hope runs dry. I will carry you up and over the mountains, valley deep as the ocean. When you can't keep going, I will shoulder your burdens. Up and over the mountains, valley deep as the ocean. When you can't keep going, I will shoulder your burdens. I will carry you through your darkest night when you're terrified. I will carry you when the waters rise, when your hope runs dry. I will carry you, I will carry you through the darkest night when you're terrified. I will carry you when the waters rise, when your hope runs dry. I will carry you.
So the gospel of Jesus, which of course was hushed up from its inception, was that wake up everybody and find out who you are. Asking that, again in the Gospel of St. John, they, pointing to his disciples, may be one, even as you, Father, and I are one. And when he was accused of blasphemy, the Jews took up stones to stone him, you know. And he said, many good works have I shown you from the Father, and from which of these do you stone me? And they said, for a good work we don't stone you, but for blasphemy, because you being a man make yourself God. Now listen to the reply. He said, is it not written in your law, I have said ye are gods? And if that is what the scripture says, it can't be denied. So why do you tell me I blaspheme because I say I am a son of God? No answer. Because I said I am a son of God. It doesn't say that in your King James translation. It says I am the Son of God. And you'll see the italicized, and you will think that that is for emphasis if you don't realize that passages in italics in the King James Bible are interpolations by the translators. In Greek, leaving out the definite article is equivalent of having the indefinite article. Weos to theou is a son of God, not oios to theou. So, son of, in Hebrew and in Arabic, means of the nature of. When we call someone a son of a bitch, we mean. And so if you call someone a son of God, you mean divine. Of the nature of God. As the Nicene Creed subsequently defined it, he is of one substance with the Father. But what happened was that this being blasphemy for the Jews, it became blasphemy for the Christians, for anyone else than Jesus to say it. They said, okay, baby, it was so with you. But there it stops. No more of this business. And as a result of that, Jesus was made irrelevant by pedestalization, by being kicked upstairs. In spite of the fact that he said, greater works than these that I do shall you do. Oh no, upstairs with you, baby, because we just can't have that sort of thing going on in a monarchical universe. We're not going to have democracy in the kingdom of heaven. So, this is why the gospel is impossible, because we are supposed to follow the example of Christ, where he says, for example, be not anxious for the morrow. Do not worry about what you shall eat, what you shall drink, and what you shall wear. God take care of you. Doesn't he take care of the birds? Don't the flowers grow? They're wonderful, they're crazy, they're great. What are you worrying about? I've never heard a sermon preached on that. Never. Because it's totally subversive. The economy would crash. So they say, oh yes, that's all very well, but he was the boss's son. See, he had that colossal advantage. Take up your cross and follow him. Hey, but wait a minute. I don't know I'm going to be resurrected 3 days later. I can't do all those miracles. He had an unfair advantage. So how can you ask us to follow the example of Christ? But supposing he didn't have an unfair advantage. Supposing that what was true about Jesus as a Son of God is true of us. Only a few of us know it.
So we're going to have a little different of a sermon. We're going to have a discussion, Jack and I, today. I had one of my worst fears happen this weekend, and I told you guys that I would finish the talk that I did last week. And Friday I went to a friend's house and took a lift home, and my computer slid out of my bag that has everything, my entire life in it, and I don't have my sermon. I don't have anything to do with the notes that I had to make that sermon happen, and I called Lyft, and nobody got back to me, and I finally called him hysterical at 1 yesterday. I was like, I literally have like finals in there that I haven't even submitted for school right now. I'm like, it was just like beyond. So he's here to support me in my moment of how did that happen? They did call me last night, and I'm going to be getting my computer back tonight. Yeah. But it's funny because in public speaking and being a public speaker, I don't know, I'm not the most confident public speaker. I mean, I have through the years gotten more confident, but like you have dreams the night before where I can't find my sermon all the time. Like it's like an all-night thing where people are stopping me and I can't get to the sermon as I'm going to the stage. And it's like, this is like a repeated thing that I really like have in a probably unconscious, subconscious place. And well, I pulled it off with my mind to experience that day where I have no sermon.
Well, I can say that I've had a dream. It's not a recurring dream, but I had a dream in which I fell asleep at the pulpit. Which is...
It's weird. You do have strange dreams when you're getting ready to public speak, and so I guess this is what it's about, you know. It's that ability to adapt and move with life no matter what it gives you. And I had set up Saturday to be a day where I actually was just going to completely be in sweats and just take a day off because I haven't taken one off in so long. And all day I was just in this like panic around the computer. So I just thought we would discuss why the suffering, you know what I mean? Why? What is the need of that? You know, unnecessary strife, right? So in that video, he says, wake up and find out who you are. Alan Watts is one of our greatest philosophers that preceded us. He also said that in Psalms 82:6 it says, I said you are gods, you are all sons of the Most High. And so for him to be referring to himself as a son of God, they were saying that it was blasphemy. The Son of God.
The.
Well, in the King James
Yeah.
Version, but it's not supposed to really be there. It's a Son of God, and so for us to understand that we are the co-creators in this life experience, right? I always, when something like what happened yesterday, I'm always looking at like, okay, what am I holding in my consciousness right now that I needed to just be pushed already in a pretty stressed out time in my life to a level like that. And when I called you yesterday, how did you say I was handling it?
Not well.
Thank God my dad is still here so I can call him because he's like, all right, let's back it up. Let's unpack this. What actually happened? So anyway, when we talk about this God, in Unity it says, there's one power and one presence in the universe, God the good. It never gives any room for a God that's not anything but perfection and love.
Right.
And so we have to, look at what is the other then, when we go through something like I went through yesterday. And I had moments of absolute peace when I could just join the fear and just recognize I can move through this. But then it was like, all of our Christmas show, like the whole script, like everything I have been working for to handle this busy season is literally gone. And I've never sent emails with it on it, or I learned a valuable lesson. I will be backing up absolutely everything on the daily, right?
Right.
That was learned.
Yes, that was a good lesson for you. But when we talk about suffering, there is real suffering in life. But as I say, there's the majority, 95% of it, is useless, unnecessary suffering. It is mind-made suffering simply because we're allowing ourselves to define ourselves in an incorrect fashion. And that's what suffering actually is all about, because we learn to understand how to transcend it. And we transcend it by recognizing that a lot of the resistance we have to situations, conditions, and circumstances is simply mind-made from an illusionary idea of self, the ego idea of me and all that is not me, which brings fear and concern and all the things that go along with useless suffering. So you're trying to defend yourself and save yourself, and you're trying to find a way to manipulate and control the conditions and circumstances around you. You're not at peace until you come to the realization of your divine beingness. Then you're willing to be present and move with everything as it occurs, instead of having, judgments about it, not being in line with your personal self-interests, your desires, your demands, what you want, what you should have had, why people have denied you. All of that is all mind-made, useless, unnecessary conflict and suffering. Mm-hmm. That's what...
Yeah. And that's why I played the Josh Groban song, You Are Loved, before you walked in here today, because that song came up on the radio on the way here, and I just found myself just like, I think it was something about that. Like, I hold myself to such a high level that I don't allow myself to make mistakes. And when I do, I'm really like beyond. Like I don't have a softness towards self. I'm really okay with other people making mistakes, and I'll hug them and love them through it, but I'm like my worst person with myself on that, loving oneself enough to say you've made a mistake, and that happens, And to hear that song was just like, yes, you're loved, regardless of the mistakes you make. Like this, Because it would have affected everybody. I mean, it would have affected my staff. It would have affected, like, that computer has everybody's life that's working here for the next 2 months in what I planned for it. So the pressure of that was like, I'm going to let everybody down, you know? You know, and that's, I think, who can relate with that when we make a mistake and it's like, we are human beings having a spiritual experience. We do human things, you know, and I've always thought I should be zipping my suitcase closed that holds my computer, and I've learned that valuable lesson too. So anyway, so how can we find meaning and purpose in suffering?
Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to go to the driver of that lift car who was giving your talk this morning.
At Unity in Denver, probably. Yeah, so one of the things that I witnessed in myself was when I finally just stopped looking at all that's inside a computer, like all the stuff that's in a computer. You don't realize how much your life is in it. And I could just finally see it as like a golden box and just hold prayer around it. And that I looked through my, you know, my truth and my honor, and how am I living honorably right now? Like, am I making sure that I am really living in Christ consciousness in the way that I treat others and everything else? And I really came to a very clean slate, like, this thing has to come back to me. I'm serving this work. I am giving everything that I have to Spirit and God. And so this is just a time maybe I just needed to not be on the computer and work. I mean, that was the goal, but obviously I noticed that the computer's gone, so I was heading there to do work on my day off. So I don't know. We learn how to find peace beyond the circumstances, I guess.
The song we sang today.
Yeah.
You find peace in the willingness to let the difficult, the problematic, the challenging go. Let it be.
Yeah.
And knowing, see, what happens is we really are manifestations and one with this divine intelligence. We are sons of God. And the thing about it is we create all kinds of resistance and trepidation in our minds. What if this doesn't go my way? What if this is wrong? What if I don't ever see it again? On and on and on. If we learn to just let it be for now, find your peace, let it be. What's the next best thing you can do? And by the way, that's in my book, The Last Alchemist. I'm not trying to advertise my book, but that...
Yeah. Not at all.
Not at all. But that whole idea is given by a millennial girl who, she lives her life by doing what she feels is the best thing you can do. But then if it doesn't work out, she says, well, then what's the next best thing I can do?
Yeah.
And I think that's a good idea to follow. If things aren't going quite your way, you say, oh, well, what's the next best thing to do right now? Mm-hmm. And let it be. It's just like to angst over it, overly resist it, and say this shouldn't be happening to me, is simply to add more fuel to the emotional negative fire. Mm-hmm. Let it say, okay, what's next? Let's see what I can make out of this. You know, making chops, what is it?
Making a problem out of something it doesn't have to be.
Right. Making it bigger.
Yeah.
And see if it doesn't resolve. And then sometimes when you do this thing, something even better comes along that you hadn't had on your program.
If it's not this, it's something better.
That's
yeah,
right.
That's a Catherine Ponder statement from Prosperity Secrets of the Ages, is when something is not moving in the direction you want it to, you go, okay, I can't even see it from the biggest view to recognize that something wonderful is coming from this.
That's right.
You know, and
Yeah.
I had talked to my son, who's probably the most intuitive person in my house, and I said, am I going to get this computer back? And he goes, I don't know. I'm like, I need you to tune in and close your eyes. And he said, you're not going to get it before 3 o'clock. And I said, okay. 3 o'clock happens and there's no phone call. Then I go into panic again because I'm just trying to trust it. And then the phone call came at 4 from the guy that he had it. So I was just pushed that little bit more, I was like kind of keeping myself cool till 3. And then 3 came and it's like, okay. So it was just an interesting experience. So, and I know that this isn't true suffering, right? Like actual, suffering in this world. I have experienced actual real suffering in this world, and I know the difference between the two. But it is the day-to-day stuff that we can really lose ourselves if we don't stay in the presence of our meditation, walking in nature, these things, these deadlines that I'm having to live it within in a class that I'm in right now, that is pushing the envelope at Christmas time at a church for sure. So I'm distracted probably. And so there's room for that mistake. And maybe I have to take something off the plate, maybe realize it's time to be a little bit more self-caring. Right? Who's good at self-caring in this place? Right. There's like 2 hands, right? Especially at this time of year. You know how we just overly want to be everything for everyone. And one of the people, Lavinia, who's singing here, I had told Jack I wasn't going to speak this Sunday. I knew I was tapped out and I needed a break. And the last time Lavinia sang was on my birthday last month, and she was really upset that I wasn't speaking the day she was singing. And I realized she was singing on Tuesday, and I said, I have to speak because Lavinia says I have to speak next Sunday. So I already had it rolling that I was not going to be on the platform today, and it's just funny how I was like, I'll make Lavinia happy. Well, Lavinia, I could just... No, I'm just kidding. I'm teasing, but it's just funny how it's like I knew I needed that break, and here that happened, so...
You know what these people are thinking out there right now?
She's spoiled.
No.
What?
Have these 2 people even got a clue about spiritual truth?
Well, I like to be honest and authentic that it's a journey.
That's the best way to always be.
Yeah, I mean, I have phases where I'm really I'm in the zone, and it really does flow, and it does fall into place. And right now we've got Pluto transiting from Capricorn this weekend, and we had the Beaver Moon on Friday. And so if you're Capricorn, Libra, Aries, or Taurus, we're all in it right now. And I'm a Libra, right? So this has been a 15-year cycle of energy pushing up against you, and it's really hard to move past it. 15 years we've been in it, and it changes on Tuesday to Aquarius, and we just become free. Right? So this is the sign of me hitting that I'm at the bottom, okay? As a Libra, I should have taken today off. You should have seen today when we came in, none of the music that they were singing had been forwarded. It never showed up to the band. Everybody's been running around. It was just an interesting energy today. We're like, okay, we're gonna pull it off. And look at how amazing they sang when the band wasn't even ready for them at all. So it was really amazing. So.
Yeah, well, let me just add to the idea that Edgar Cayce, the profound, sleeping prophet, while he gave readings about astrology and the effect that astrology does, it brings inclinations into the individual, depending on the configuration of his or her stars at birth. There will be, inclinations towards certain things that the stars bring. But he also said that the strongest aspect in the consciousness of man is his own will. His will is the most powerful instrument. So while your stars may have inclinations toward creating certain things about what you might lean toward, it is your will. Using your will can change it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that 15-year cycle was a real growing time, so that you've been planting a seed and building something for those 15 years that are about to be birthed. So that will be the feeling of I did all this work and we finally get to kind of step in. And the age of Aquarius is also an age of going into the divine feminine too, and it's leaving the masculine. So that's really, obviously that's an energy. It's not the male or the female in us separating us. It's about that balance in us, and the divine feminine is a lot more compassionate, a lot more inclusive, a lot more diverse, a lot more honoring of everybody, the planet. It's a much more loving, love-backed energy that's going to bring a lot of beauty to this planet, which is, I think, very, very needed.
Yeah, it was only 3 weeks late.
Oh, stop it. Okay. So in Buddhism, the views on suffering is a result of ignorance and desire, and a phenomenon that can be overcome. The Buddha taught that people can move past suffering by understanding its causes. Here are some of the Buddha's teachings about suffering. Desire and ignorance. Buddhists believe that craving, pleasure, material goods, and immortality can only lead to suffering because these wants are never satisfied. And we always talk about that in Unity, is like we can look to the world, the outer world, to fulfill our needs and our desires, but we really never really come into true peace until we find it within ourselves, right? Then we become the vibration of all that goodness, and then you can't keep all that good from coming to you. But when you're fleeting, trying to grasp at the things of the world and find fulfillment in it, it's fleeting and it's never going to be fulfilling. So that really makes sense when it comes to unity. And the Four Noble Truths in Buddhism is of suffering, or dukkha, includes birth, aging, sickness, death, pain, grief, and more. So those are the areas that suffering happens, right? Birth, aging, sickness, death, pain, grief, and more. So the three types of suffering, the Buddha identified three types of suffering: physical and emotional pain, the suffering caused by life's constant change, and the suffering caused by attachment to things. So
What was that last one?
So it was the suffering caused by life's constant change and the suffering caused by attachment to things, right? Change. I mean, that is probably the toughest one, is that they say that emotional and spiritual maturity is proven in the proof when somebody can pivot and adapt to life, right? Being able to adapt and pivot in life, and without fighting up against when those big transformational changes come into our lives, whether because of someone else or because of ourselves, regardless of. If we have the ability to be like the bamboo that swings in the wind, but the roots are deep, we're able to adapt with all the weather, with the tornadoes, with all of it, and keep that center of balance in the face of.
That's true. And we, at my early morning meditation service, I brought up that when you look at all the teachings by the masters down through the ages, they all include this ideal of mystical peace. It's mystical because it doesn't fit with the kind of peace we look for in the world. In the world, we have peace when conditions and circumstances are meeting our personal expectations. People are meeting our personal point of view. So things are happening in accord with what we want to happen. But that's not the peace that these masters are speaking about. There's a mystical state of peace that brings us to what you're talking about, that allows us to be in the flow of things even when they're not going according to our personal desires. And that is from spiritual practice. As we practice realizing we are sons of God, each one of us, that means we have control over how we will feel. That's true. If you want to feel good, you actually have control over that. But you have to be in the consciousness that is a son of God's consciousness, which is, I am in the presence of that which is divine. I have no resistance. I'm not fighting against, I'm not warring against, I'm not talking against, I'm not doing all those things that we do. We actually have transcended the limited thinking we were born and raised and educated in, the limited thinking that cheats us out of feeling good regardless of circumstances. How many people are aware of the fact that peace, as it is being taught by the masters down through the ages, can be your goal? And eventually, it is there for you all the time. So you practice peace by taking a holy pause. You have something happen that's causing you to have resistance, negative emotions, blame, fear, concern. Instead, you pause and you recognize again that peace, true peace, is my goal. And once you start to do that, what you need to do now is given to you. You hear it, you feel it, you'll do it. And it works to bring more harmony, healing. And all the time that even the circumstances aren't meeting your point of view, you are feeling peace. Because you are divine, and your peace comes from knowing you are divine, and that these things are passing, all passing.
Yeah. So I'm in the middle of finals in a class for DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusivity. And the 5-week class is all on studying how the marginalized Black people, Asian people, Indian people, Native American people have been treated in this country. To give us an understanding of what the people have walked through in this country, to have a deep empathy and compassion, and to never ever, especially in a leadership role like this job, this calling, to never ever let those things be repeated again, right? So it's all about understanding the cracks in the foundation that are underneath us, to recognize that they're there, and to never add to those cracks in the foundation. And to be totally honest, it shook my soul. That really has taken the peace out of me, right? To walk as closely 100 miles in the moccasins of many people that I could never, ever, ever understand the suffering that has happened in this country and all over the world. As a Libra and a very empathic, compassionate person, I'm making mistakes like this a lot right now after doing this class. It shook me to my core, right? Like, I understand privilege now. I understand where you and I, like, we could never know the suffering of others in a way, right? And so it's like I'm distracted because I'm like, I feel all of it. Like, I'm in a place of feeling all of it because I have to let this move through my being. And because I want to understand it, because I want to be respectful to in the most incredible way as I possibly can. You know, and I'm okay with that. Like, it's okay to be shook by things. And it doesn't mean that I don't love God and I don't trust that God is good. But there are things that are not of God, that are not good. And there's a human condition in people that can be pretty bad.
And I think that goes out for people who understand that the more expanded one becomes in the awareness of spiritual presence, that is the awareness of God, the more you enter into that as part of your life going forward, the more difficult and painful will be the events of ignorance propagated by human beings. There'll be you'll just have pain when you see people doing that which is in opposition to love, consideration, compassion, forgiveness. When you see people just ignoring that, it's painful, it's hard. And then you have to do your holy work on yourself and know that this also is passing, and that my job is to keep peace, to bestow peace. But it gets difficult. The more open in spirit you become, the more painful it is to see the ignorance that humanity actually voice on certain areas of life and people.
So why don't we just come into the presence and just take a few minutes for a guided meditation. And it's a lot of energy right there. Amazing though, I mean, really and truly, we're here to expand and grow and deepen and, come into more and more truth of ourselves. And the more and more truth of self we are revealed unto ourselves, we like ourselves and we love ourselves because we become more and more aware of how we can be incredible adversaries for this love, for this world,
And that's just when you're doing the spiritual practice, your meditation, and you're allowing the core of your nature, which is God as love, to come more and more forth in your everyday thinking and actions. The more that you are doing that, the more equipped you are to, when you say walk in someone's moccasins, this is why I'm saying it becomes more painful. When you see something taking place that is so egregious and against consideration and kindness and love, and you see it taking place, you will have to do your holy pause, because you will feel what the people that are being abused feel. Mm-hmm. You will see and feel that abuse because you are now one with life. Mm-hmm. So you don't need somebody to teach you. You got to read these books on how to act and react. You just have to do your spiritual work, and eventually you see there are these inconsistencies in the nature of human beings, and you have to learn how to transcend them. And you will walk in the moccasins of everybody you see being derided, cheated, abused. When you see it happening, you're there. It's you. It's you it's happening to.
There is no they.
There is no they.
We are all one.
We're all one.
All right, so let's just close our eyes if we can get a little music in here and just take a deep breath. I'll let you know, I will finish last week's sermon the Sunday after next Sunday. We have our big Thanksgiving service next Sunday. Just let it, this conversation roll off of you, or hold on to something that might be an insight that might be helpful for you to go forward in your life in a more divinely connected way. To recognize that suffering is part of this experience, and in Buddhism it says the best way to not make suffering get bigger is to not put your mental connection with it, to just turn towards it and just be with that thing that's bothering you, and then your body will adjust to it. It's really our thoughts about the future, it's the thoughts about the past, it's all those things around this painful thing that blows it into something that feels so extraordinary that we can't heal. The most important thing we can do to get back into balance and to remember the Christ potential that we are is to stop being a victim of our circumstances. Recognizing that we're exactly where we are supposed to be. And even when we're exactly where we're supposed to be doesn't mean you're necessarily happy right now. Sometimes it's a time for being still and quiet, less social, and taking into ourselves the things that have bothered us in the past, and we've reacted from the small-mindedness, versus taking on the things that would affect us in the past and stepping in from a higher consciousness, doing it differently, being it differently, flowing with it differently. Another way to get back and out of that victimhood is to not blame others. It's never anybody else's fault. It's always a journey of growing and expanding and expression through our relationship with this divine energy, source, God, and ourselves. and recognizing that God is our partner in all this, that's the loving source energy. That's divinely guiding all of it. Even when we have these difficult things, Spirit is there divinely guiding as well. And when we're really tired of being in a place where we're struggling or feeling fear or a sense of misery in our life, becoming a hero for ourselves and doing something differently, like walking every day, exercising, meditating, reading spiritual content, getting out of your computers, getting off your phones, and just being in the expansion of this powerful heaven on earth, witnessing all that God is and can be and will be through us. And then the most important part is to believe in miracles. Jesus said, "Truly, truly, I say to you, you will work the same miracles as I do because I go to the Father." And metaphysically, we know the Father represents the cause of everything. It's just a source energy. So he went to the cause of life, to that miracle, that possible. So what he's saying is you can be a miracle in your own life. You will work these miracles if you believe that it's possible. And so to claim your perfection as a perfect child of God with endless possibilities and finding ourselves in gratitude that all is working out for me. Everything is working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. So to this we say, amen. Thank you.
We'll take an offering for unity now. As we're preparing to do this, I'd like to invite those of you that are watching this at home. You can still be a vital part of Unity of Boulder by helping to support it and going forward. And if you're watching this live stream, you can scroll down to the place that says donate, or you can use a QR code and go to PayPal or Venmo and donate in that fashion. But I'd like to encourage you to do that, because it is in giving that you open yourself up and you alleviate yourself of the fear of not having enough. You do have enough, and you'll have more than enough if you get involved in giving freely, openly, lovingly. So now let us bring to mind and into our hands that gift we'd like to make to Unity of Boulder, and let's bless it with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. And we have the opportunity to listen to the Light Girls, right?
Sisters of Light.
Okay, to the Light.
Light girls.
Many nights we prayed with no proof anyone could hear. In our hearts a hopeful song we barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will. like the summer bird so swiftly flown away. Yet now I'm standing here, my heart's so full I can't explain. Seeking faith and speaking words I never thought I'd say. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to keep. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe. Somehow you will. You will when you believe. They don't always happen when you ask, and it's easy to give in to your fears. But when you're blinded by your pain, can't see the way, get through the rain. Strong but still resilient voice says hope is very near. When you believe, though hope is frail, it's hard to keep. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe. Somehow you will. Somehow you will. You will when you believe. You will when you
Thank you. Is it Women of Light? Yeah, Sisters of Light. Gorgeous. Thank you. Your music was amazing.
We'll get that one right
We
next time.
gotta get it right.
get it right next
They changed
time.
the thing too quick. We want you back as soon as possible. You're amazing. All right, so we have a discussion group I will be holding in the bookstore in the conference room if you want to come and just chat for like 20 minutes and talk about what's on your heart today. And then we have the choir rehearsal starting right after the service right in here. So if you want to join and sing during the Thanksgiving Joy Sing next Sunday at the 11 o'clock service.
We're
it's gonna be
singing
about-
some really fun songs for Thanksgiving.
Really easy stuff, and the rehearsal will be about 45 minutes today. And we have fellowship in this room, coffee and food and everything else, so make sure you meet other people. And we're all going to rise and close with Let There Be Peace on Earth,
You're going to start that rehearsal
right after the service.
right after.
Yeah.
But they have 5 minutes to grab.
To get a tea and
Yeah, you
cookies
can
or something.
actually get a tea or something and come on in. Come on in and join the joy of singing for the Thanksgiving service.
All right, let's rise, and we're going to sing Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Creator.
Wonderful singing.
I will